The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. It came not as a dramatic explosion of light in the sky or a massive ship hovering over a major city, but as a simple data packet received by the International Space Station. The contents were clear and impossible to misinterpret. Humans were not alone in the universe, and the broader galactic community had finally decided Earth was worth talking to. Captain Lisa Moore stood at attention in the United Earth Space Command headquarters, her crisp blue uniform spotless as she awaited the arrival of humanity's first alien visitor. At 42, Lisa had spent her life preparing for missions that tested human limits. She had commanded the first manned mission to Mars and led the team that established the permanent lunar base, but nothing could have prepared her for representing her entire species. "Nervous?" asked General Frank Peterson, the aging head of Space Command. Lisa gave a slight nod. "Anyone would be, sir." "That's why I picked you," the general said. "You admit when you're scared, then do the job anyway." The landing pad outside lit up as a small craft descended. It wasn't the massive mothership many had expected, but rather a vessel no larger than a private jet. It hummed rather than roared, settling onto the concrete with barely a sound. The doors slid open, revealing a tall, slender figure. Ambassador Zixlon of the Artaxian Empire stepped out, his blue-gray skin reflecting the morning sunlight. He had 2 pairs of arms and a face that reminded Lisa of a hawk, observant and slightly predatory. Lisa stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we welcome you to our world." The alien regarded her with 3 blinking eyes. "Your hospitality is acknowledged, Captain Moore of Earth." His English was perfect, obviously learned from intercepted broadcasts. "I represent the Galactic Council, a federation of 127 spacefaring civilizations. Your species has been classified as Level 2, having achieved limited space travel within your own solar system." Lisa maintained her diplomatic smile, despite the condescending tone. "We're eager to learn about the wider galactic community." The alien's upper arms made a dismissive gesture. "As expected from a young species, the Council has authorized me to extend an invitation for Earth to send observers to our next assembly. Not as voting members, of course. That privilege is reserved for Level 4 species and above." The meeting lasted 3 hours. Zixlon shared just enough information about the Council to make clear how far behind humans were. He mentioned faster-than-light travel as casually as one might discuss an everyday appliance. He referenced species that communicated telepathically and civilizations that had colonized hundreds of worlds. When he left, Lisa felt small in a way she never had before. The universe had just become unimaginably larger, and humanity's place in it significantly smaller. Commander Joe Campbell waited for her in the analysis lab, surrounded by screens displaying the technical data the Artaxian had shared. Joe's eyes were red from staring at the screens for hours. "They're playing us," he said without preamble. Lisa dropped into a chair. "Explain." Joe pointed to several diagrams. "They've given us just enough to see how advanced they are, but not enough to help us advance ourselves. It's like giving a calculator to someone who doesn't understand numbers. But look here." He highlighted a section of energy distribution patterns. "Their technological approach is remarkably uniform. Different species with different biology, yet they all develop tech along nearly identical lines." "What does that mean?" Lisa asked. "It means they're following a script. They find a path that works and stick to it. Humans don't think that way. We try different approaches, contradictory approaches, even when experts tell us it's impossible." Lisa looked at the alien script scrolling across the screen. "They laughed at us today, Joe. Not openly, but I could tell. We're amusing primitives to them." Joe's face hardened. "They won't be laughing for long. The Council has invited us to observe, right?" "Yes, I leave in 3 weeks with a small team." "Perfect." Joe smiled. "Because if there's one thing humans have always been good at, it's learning by watching, and then finding a completely different way to solve the same problem." Lisa felt a smile forming. "I'll need a good scientist on my team." I know just the man. Dr. Alan Wright. Brilliant physicist, terrible at following conventional wisdom. Sounds perfect, Lisa said. Let's show the galaxy what primitive humans can do. The journey to Nexus, home of the Galactic Council, took 2 weeks aboard an Artaxian transport ship. Lisa spent most of that time studying the limited files they had been given about Council species. Dr. Alan Wright, a thin man with wild gray hair and keen eyes, rarely left the small lab they were permitted to use. Their technology uses principles we've barely explored, Alan told Lisa on the final day of travel. But they apply those principles in the most straightforward way possible. No creativity. The ship emerged from what the Artaxians called fold space near a massive space station. It looked like a giant wheel with spokes reaching outward. Hundreds of ships moved around it, each different in design. A small green-skinned alien met them at the dock. I am Cruel, your assigned guide, he said. Please follow me to your quarters in the developing species section. Lisa exchanged glances with Alan and the third member of their team, Security Officer Ben Rodriguez. The developing species section was clearly just another way of saying they weren't important enough for better accommodations. Their rooms were small and plain. The ceiling was too low for comfort, and the beds too short for human frames. The main council meeting begins in 3 hours, Cruel informed them. You may observe from the gallery. After he left, Ben checked the room for listening devices. Clear, he said, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were monitoring us somehow. Remember why we're here, Lisa reminded her team. Observe everything. Learn what we can. Find potential allies. The council chamber was enormous. A circular room with tiered seating. It could hold representatives from over 100 worlds. The humans were directed to small seats in the highest tier, far from the central speaking floor. The session began with ceremony. Representatives from what Lisa recognized as the most advanced species took the central positions. The Artaxians, the reptilian vulgar, and the crystalline lith seemed to command the most respect. When it came time to introduce new observers, the council leader, a tall vulgar named Dreth, gestured lazily toward the human delegation. We acknowledge the presence of representatives from Earth, a Level 2 civilization recently contacted. They have petitioned for full council membership, which will of course be denied until they reach appropriate technological advancement. A ripple of what could only be described as laughter moved through the chamber. Perhaps in a few centuries, added another vulgar, if they don't destroy themselves first. Their historical records show quite a tendency towards self-destruction. Lisa stood, though Alan tried to pull her back down. With respect, Earth requests the opportunity to demonstrate our value to the Council through means other than technological advancement. The chamber fell silent, then erupted in more laughter. The human wishes to speak, Dreth said, his scaled face showing what might have been amusement. How quaint. You may approach the speaking floor. Lisa walked down the long stairway to the central platform, feeling hundreds of alien eyes upon her. Humanity is young compared to your civilizations, she began. We have not mastered faster-than-light travel independently. We cannot communicate telepathically, but we offer something else. Adaptability. Creativity. The ability to find solutions where others see only problems. The vulgar representative made a dismissive gesture. All species believe they are special, human. Your primitive spacecraft required chemical propellants. Your communications still rely on electromagnetic radiation. You haven't even unified your planetary government properly. Yet we advanced from first flight to landing on our moon in 66 years. Lisa countered. We developed computing from vacuum tubes to quantum processors in less than a century. Accelerated development is common among younger species, said the Artaxian representative. It slows as proper technological paths are established. As the dismissive comments continued, Lisa noticed something interesting. Several representatives from less prominent species were watching her with what appeared to be interest rather than mockery. When she returned to her seat, Alan whispered, "They won't listen, but others might." Look at the blue ones in the middle tier, and the small gray ones near the bottom. They were paying attention. Lisa nodded. The Council's elite may laugh at us, but I think we might find allies among those they laugh at too. After the session, a small blue-skinned alien approached them in the corridor. I am Nilara of the Nexur, she said quietly. Your words interested me. Perhaps we could speak privately. Lisa smiled. We would be honored. Back on Earth, Commander Joe Campbell paced the floor of the research lab. A dozen of Earth's best scientists and engineers worked around him, studying the limited technical data they had gathered from the Artaxian ship and the information Lisa's team had sent back. We're thinking about this all wrong, Joe said suddenly. We're trying to catch up to them using their methods. We need to use our methods. Kate Barnes looked up from her workstation. At 35, she was the youngest lead engineer at Space Command, known for solutions that others called impossible. What do you mean? The Council species all follow similar technological paths. What if we try something completely different? On the other side of the lab, Doug White, a former NASA propulsion expert, nodded slowly. They used fold space technology for FTL travel, but their approach requires massive energy. What if we try a different approach entirely? For the next 2 weeks, the Earth team worked around the clock. They weren't trying to copy alien technology. They were creating hybrid systems that combined human ingenuity with alien concepts. Meanwhile, on Nexus, Lisa and Alan met secretly with Nilara of the Nexur. The blue-skinned alien explained that her people were master traders, but had been denied full council rights for centuries. The ruling species control access to advanced technology, Nilara explained. They claim it's for safety, but it maintains their power. How many other species are in your position? Lisa asked. Many. The Duven are brilliant mathematicians, but physically fragile. The Council uses their calculations but gives them little respect. The Morton have amazing biological sciences, but lack weapons technology. Alan leaned forward. So the top tier maintains control by keeping advanced technology to themselves. Nilara nodded, and they follow the same technological paths their ancestors discovered eons ago. Innovation is discouraged. It's safer that way. Lisa smiled. Innovation is practically the definition of humanity. Over the following days, Lisa and Alan arranged meetings with representatives from a dozen lower-tier species. Each had unique strengths ignored by the Council elite. Each had reasons to resent the current system. We could help each other, Lisa proposed during one such meeting. Share knowledge directly, without Council approval. A small gray alien with enormous eyes spoke up. I am Zix of the Doven. Your proposal is intriguing but dangerous. The Council forbids unauthorized technology sharing. They forbid it to maintain their power, Alan argued. But what if we created something new together, something none of the Council species have? On Earth, the breakthrough came unexpectedly. Kate Barnes had been studying Artaxian energy distribution systems, while Doug White worked on theoretical propulsion models. What if we combine these? Kate suggested, bringing her diagrams to Doug's workstation. Use human-style lateral thinking to work around their energy limitations. Doug stared at the combined schematics. This shouldn't work. It breaks half the rules they follow. But does it break the laws of physics? Joe asked, looking over their shoulders. Doug's face broke into a wide grin. No, it's crazy, but it might actually work. 3 days later, they successfully tested the first prototype. Rather than brute forcing their way through space-time, as the Artaxian drives did, their system created a gentler fold, requiring just 1/10 the energy. Joe immediately sent the encrypted plans to Lisa on Nexus. When Lisa showed the designs to their new allies, the reaction was shock. This is not how fold space technology is supposed to work, Zix of the Doven said, his large eyes blinking rapidly. But my calculations confirm it should function, possibly better than existing systems. Nilara of the Nexur tilted her head. The Council would never approve this approach. They've standardized fold technology for millennia. That's what makes it valuable, Lisa said. We're not playing by their rules. My people could manufacture components through our trade networks, Nilara offered. The Council monitors official production, but not all commerce. Lisa nodded. And Earth will begin building ships with this technology. Quietly. Aelin looked at the gathered aliens, beings who had been marginalized despite their unique talents. The Council laughed at all of us. They won't be laughing when they see what we can do together. The Earth team sent out their first prototype ship a month later. It was small and unimpressive looking, but it carried a revolutionary drive system that would change everything. The emergency council session was called without warning. Lisa and her team were barely in their observation seats when the Artaxian representative took the central platform. "We have received disturbing reports," he announced. "A previously unknown species has attacked 3 outer colonies. They call themselves the Voidborn." Images appeared on the large screens around the chamber. Dark ships with strange, organic-looking designs. Footage of destroyed outposts. The council erupted in anxious chatter. "These Voidborn have destroyed all attempts at communication," continued the Artaxian. "They appear interested only in conquest and resource acquisition." The Vulgar representative stepped forward. "We propose a defensive line around core council worlds. Our most advanced ships will protect important systems." "What about the outer colonies?" asked Nilara of the Nexuri. "Many non-voting systems lie in the projected path of these invaders." The council leader waved a dismissive hand. "Resources must be allocated efficiently. Level 2 and 3 civilizations may need to manage their own defenses until the threat to primary worlds is contained." Lisa watched the faces of the lower-tier representatives. They understood the message. They were expendable. After the session, Nilara approached the human delegation with urgency. "My people have a colony in the direct path of these Voidborn. The council has abandoned them." "How many people?" Lisa asked. 17,000, mostly families. They have no defenses against such an attack." Lisa thought for a moment. "Earth's new ships are untested in battle, but they're fast. We could help evacuate your people." "The Council has ordered all non-combat vessels to avoid the conflict zone," Alan pointed out. Lisa's expression hardened. "They also made it clear they won't help. We're officially observers here, not under their command." 2 days later, 3 Earth ships arrived at Nexus. They were smaller than Council vessels, but sleek and fast. The Earth team boarded quickly, along with Nilara to guide them. "The Council will not approve," warned 6 of the Dovan, who had come to see them off. "We're not looking for approval," Lisa replied, "just doing what's right." The journey to the Nexuri colony took less than a day using the new Earth drives. When they arrived, they found a small blue planet with a single modest settlement. And in orbit, 3 dark Voidborn scout ships. "They're bigger than us," Ben said from his tactical station. "But we're faster," Lisa responded. "Begin evacuation immediately. All ships will serve as escorts once the colonists are aboard." The Earth ships landed near the colony, and the evacuation began. The Nexuri colonists moved with remarkable speed and organization. Children and elders were loaded first, then the adults. Just as the last groups were boarding, the Voidborn ships attacked. Dark energy pulses struck near the landing zones, sending dirt and debris flying. "They've detected the evacuation," Ben reported. "They're trying to stop it." Lisa took command of the defense. "All ships, engage intercept pattern. Use our maneuverability advantage." The Earth ships were not designed for combat, but they were fast and agile. They darted around the larger Voidborn vessels, drawing fire away from the evacuation. When the last colonist was aboard, Lisa ordered all ships to launch. "They're pursuing," Ben warned, as they broke orbit. "Execute pattern Omega," Lisa ordered. The Earth ships split up, then came back together in a complex dance that confused the Voidborn targeting systems. One of the Earth vessels took a glancing hit but maintained function. Then, In a maneuver that would have been impossible with standard Council drives, the Earth ships executed a synchronized microjump, appearing behind the Voidborn vessels. Before the enemy could turn, the Earth fleet jumped again, this time to their escape vector, and vanished into fold space. "We did it," Nylera said, her voice filled with wonder. "You saved my people." 2 days later, when the fleet returned to Nexus, word of the rescue had already spread. The Council formally censured the human delegation for unauthorized intervention, but among the lower-tier species, humans became heroes overnight. "The Council is furious," Alan told Lisa as they watched the Nexur colonists being welcomed by their people. "Let them be angry," Lisa replied. "We just showed the galaxy what humans do. We help those in need, even when the powerful say it's not worth the risk." On the other side of the dock, representatives from 6 different species waited to speak with the humans who had done what the mighty Council would not. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. The Voidborn were moving faster than anyone predicted, attacking more colonies and advancing toward major population centers. The Council held emergency sessions daily, but their response remained slow and divided. "We must protect our own borders first," insisted the Volgar representative. "Advanced defense technology must remain restricted," argued the Artaxian leader. "Lower-tier species lack the sophistication to use it properly." Lisa watched these debates with growing frustration. After the successful Nexur evacuation, representatives from 12 different species had approached the humans seeking help. They formed what Lisa now called the Alliance of Free Worlds, a coalition of those the Council deemed unimportant. "They still don't understand," she told Alan as they left yet another Council session. "The Voidborn won't stop with outer colonies. This isn't about resources, it's about conquest." On Earth, Commander Joe Campbell received Lisa's reports with growing concern. But he also saw an opportunity. For 3 months, Earth scientists had been working on something even more advanced than their improved fold drives. "We're ready for the field test," Kate Barnes told him one morning. "The Pioneer is complete." Joe followed her to a secure hangar beneath the Space Command headquarters. Inside sat a sleek ship unlike any Earth had built before. It wasn't large, only big enough for a crew of 6, but its design incorporated everything they had learned from alien technology, reimagined through human creativity. "It's not just the fastest ship we've ever built," Doug White explained as they walked around it. "It's faster than anything in the Council fleet, and it has defensive capabilities they haven't imagined." "How soon can it reach Nexus?" Joe asked. 3 days, Kate replied. "Maybe less." When the Pioneer arrived at Nexus, even their allies were shocked. The ship's capabilities exceeded anything they expected from primitive humans. "How did you develop this so quickly?" asked Zix of the Dovan, his large eyes examining the ship's specifications. "We stopped trying to follow Council technical standards," Lisa explained. "We found our own path." The Alliance of Free Worlds now included 17 species. They met in secret, away from Council observation. Together, they began constructing a defensive line along the projected path of the Voidborn advance. The Nexuri provided their vast trade network to distribute resources. The Dovan contributed their mathematical precision to calculate optimal defensive positions. The Mordans shared their biological science to help understand the partly organic Voidborn ships, and humans provided the innovative tactics and technology that tied it all together. Word of their preparations reached the Council eventually. The Volgar representative summoned Lisa to a private meeting. "Your species has been conducting unauthorized military activities," he said, his reptilian eyes cold. "This violates your observer status." Lisa stood tall before him. "The Council made it clear that non-core worlds are on their own. We're simply helping those you abandoned. Primitive species cannot be trusted with advanced technology. There are protocols. Protocols that keep you in power while others suffer." Lisa interrupted. "The Voidborn don't care about your protocols. They're coming for all of us." "You will disband this alliance immediately," the Volgar demanded. or Earth's observer status will be revoked. Lisa smiled slightly. With respect, we don't need your permission anymore. While you've been talking, we've been building. Our alliance now controls more territory than the Council core worlds. We have ships, weapons, and people willing to fight. The Vulgar's scales flushed with anger. You overstep, human. No, Lisa replied, now an admiral in the newly formed alliance fleet. We're finally stepping up. The Council laughed at us, called us primitive, denied us a voice. But your way isn't working. The Voidborn have destroyed 23 colonies while you debate protocols. She turned to leave but paused at the door. The Alliance will defend any world in the path of the Voidborn, even Council worlds. Not because we need your approval, but because it's the right thing to do. As she walked away, the Vulgar called after her, your ships can't match our technology. Lisa didn't look back. Maybe not, but I'd bet on human creativity over Council tradition any day. That night, reports came in of a massive Voidborn fleet approaching the Vulgar homeworld's outer moon. The real test was about to begin. The Vulgar outer moon, Sulus, housed over 3 million citizens. It was a major industrial center, producing components for the Vulgar fleet. As the Voidborn approached, the Vulgar defense fleet took position around the moon. They're arranging in standard Council defense pattern, Alan noted, watching the tactical display aboard the Alliance command ship. The same formation they've used for centuries. Admiral Lisa Moore nodded. And the Voidborn have studied those patterns. They know exactly what to expect. The emergency message from the Vulgar came just hours later. Their outer defenses had fallen. The Voidborn had adapted to their tactics and broken through their lines with minimal losses. Now they were advancing toward the moon itself. They're requesting immediate assistance, Ben said from the communication station. Lisa looked at the representatives from the 17 Alliance species gathered on her bridge. This is a Council core world, not part of our alliance. What do we do? Nilara of the Nexuri spoke first. They abandoned our colonies. They mocked us all, added Zix of the Dovan. Lisa let them voice their thoughts. Many had good reasons to let the Vulgar face the Voidborn alone. When they finished, she looked at each of them in turn. This isn't about the Council or the Vulgar, she said. This is about who we are. The Alliance was formed to protect all worlds, not just our own. The Alliance fleet launched within the hour. 57 ships of various designs, all modified with human hybrid technology. They were fewer in number than the Vulgar fleet had been, but they had something the Council forces lacked: unpredictability. The journey to Sulus took just under a day. When they arrived, the situation was worse than expected. The Voidborn had broken through the Vulgar lines completely. The moon's orbital defenses were failing. Civilian evacuation ships were being targeted as they tried to escape. All Alliance ships. This is Admiral Moore. Lisa broadcast to the fleet. Standard Council tactics won't work here. Execute Battle Plan Delta. Instead of forming the tight defensive formations the Council used, the Alliance ships split into small mobile groups. 3 ships would attack briefly, then retreat before the Voidborn could focus their weapons. Another group would strike from a different angle. The Voidborn, accustomed to fighting the predictable Council forces, seemed confused by these tactics. Their formation began to break apart as they tried to chase the faster Alliance vessels. On the science vessel supporting the fleet, Alan Wright watched the battle with intense focus. His team had been studying Voidborn technology for weeks. Look at their shield modulation, he said suddenly. It shifts to match incoming weapons. But there's a pattern to it. Alan quickly calculated the frequency shifts and sent the data to Admiral Moore. If we time our attacks precisely, there's a half-second window where their shields are vulnerable during transitions. Lisa ordered the fleet to adjust their attack pattern. Each group would fire at precise intervals, forcing the Voidborn shields to constantly transition. The effect was immediate. Alliance weapons began penetrating the enemy defenses. But the battle was far from over. A massive Voidborn ship, twice the size of the others, moved toward the moon's surface. Scans showed it carried weapons capable of devastating the entire colony. "We need to stop that command ship," Lisa ordered. "All available vessels, focus fire." The Alliance ships converged on the Voidborn command vessel. It returned fire, destroying 2 Alliance ships and damaging 3 others. Despite the losses, the Alliance continued their attack. Lisa ordered her own ship directly into the path of the command vessel. "All power to forward shields. Arm the experimental weapon." The command ship fired, and Lisa's vessel shuddered under the impact. Systems failed across the bridge, but they held position. "Fire," Lisa ordered. The weapon, designed by Kate Barnes using principles no Council engineer would have considered, fired a pulse that bypassed the Voidborn shields entirely. It struck the command ship at its core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the massive vessel began to break apart. With their command ship destroyed, the remaining Voidborn vessels began to retreat. The Alliance had won their first major battle. As Lisa's damaged ship limped back into formation, a message came through from the Volgar High Command. Their tone, normally condescending, was now cautious, almost respectful. "The Volgar extend gratitude for your unexpected assistance," the message stated. Lisa allowed herself a small smile. "Tell them it's what allies do, even for those who don't consider us equals." 2 weeks after the Battle of Sulus, the Galactic Council called for a special session. For the first time, representatives of the Alliance of Free Worlds were invited to attend as participants, not just observers. Admiral Lisa Moore entered the council chamber with Nilara of the Nexur, Zix of the Dovan, and representatives from 5 other Alliance species. They were given seats on the main floor, not in the high observation gallery. The council leader, a Volgar elder named Dreth, began the session without the usual ceremony. "The Voidborn threat has proven more serious than initially assessed. Their attacks continue to increase in frequency and scale." Screens around the chamber showed the latest intelligence. The Voidborn fleet had grown. They had destroyed 7 more colonies and appeared to be gathering for a major offensive. "In light of recent events," Dreth continued, his tone carefully measured, "the Council proposes formal cooperation with the Alliance of Free Worlds." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many of the high-tier species looked uncomfortable with this suggestion. "What kind of cooperation?" Lisa asked. The Artaxian representative answered. "Your Alliance vessels demonstrated unexpected effectiveness in battle. The Council proposes a joint operation against the Voidborn." Lisa exchanged glances with her Alliance colleagues. This was progress, but she knew there would be conditions. "Under Council command, of course," the Artaxian added. "The Alliance will maintain independent command of our forces," Lisa replied firmly. "We will coordinate with Council fleets, but not subordinate to them." The chamber erupted in objections. The idea that lesser species would operate independently seemed unthinkable to the Council elite. Dreth raised a clawed hand for silence. Perhaps a compromise. A joint command structure with equal representation. Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Joe Campbell met with the Alliance engineering team. Kate Barnes had been working nonstop since receiving data from the Sulus battle. "We've improved the shields based on what we learned about Voidborn weapons," she explained, showing him the latest designs. "And the new targeting system uses Dovan mathematics to predict their movements." Doug White pointed to another diagram. "We've also managed to increase the power of our main weapons by 30% by incorporating modern biological components. They grow conductive crystals that channel energy more efficiently than anything we've built before." Joe studied their work with satisfaction. What they had accomplished in months would have taken the Council decades, trapped as they were in traditional thinking. "How many ships can we outfit with these upgrades before the next Voidborn attack?" he asked. "All of them," Kate replied with confidence. "We're already distributing the specifications through Nexuri networks. The Alliance shipyards are working around the clock." Back on Nexus, the negotiations continued for 3 days. The Council wanted access to Alliance technology. The Alliance wanted recognition as equals and the abolishment of the species tier system. Your technology originated from Council sources, argued a Lith representative, their crystalline form shimmering with agitation. We took your basic principles and completely reimagined them, Alan countered. The results speak for themselves. Finally, a compromise was reached. The Council and Alliance would form a joint fleet to face the Voidborn threat. After the crisis, there would be discussion of reforming the Council structure. As Lisa prepared to return to the Alliance headquarters, she was approached by a young Volgar officer. "I was at Sulus," he said quietly. "My family lived on the moon. You saved them." Lisa nodded acknowledgement. "I was taught that humans were primitive," the Volgar continued. "But you fought in ways we never considered. You adapted while we followed patterns thousands of years old." He hesitated, then added, "Many of us younger Volgar believe it's time for change." That evening, Lisa received an urgent message. Voidborn scout ships had been detected near Nexus itself. They were no longer targeting distant colonies. They were striking at the heart of galactic civilization. "It's time," she told her team. "Prepare the fleet." The combined Council Alliance force was the largest fleet ever assembled in the galaxy's history. Ships of all designs gathered near Nexus, preparing for what would surely be the decisive battle. As Lisa boarded her flagship, she thought about how far humans had come since that first dismissive meeting with Ambassador Zixlan. The Council had laughed at humanity then. No one was laughing now. The combined fleet faced the Voidborn armada in the vast emptiness of space near Nexus. Over 300 Council ships arranged themselves in their traditional battle formations. The Alliance vessels, numbering just over 100, took positions that seemed random to outside observers, but followed human tactical principles designed to maximize flexibility. Admiral Lisa Moore stood on the bridge of her flagship, now repaired and upgraded after the Battle of Sulus. Dr. Alan Wright worked at a nearby console, analyzing the Voidborn fleet. "Their ships have adapted since our last encounter," he reported. "The shield vulnerability we exploited has been modified." Lisa nodded. She had expected this. "That's the difference between us and the Council. They rely on fixed patterns. We anticipate change." The Council commander, an elder Artaxian, appeared on the main screen. "We will initiate the attack as planned. Your Alliance vessels should maintain their assigned positions and follow our lead." Lisa acknowledged the message but had no intention of following a plan she knew would fail. The Council still didn't understand that predictability was a weakness, not a strength. The battle began as the Voidborn advanced. The Council fleet engaged them with impressive firepower but rigid tactics. At first, their superior numbers seemed to be pushing back the enemy. Then the Voidborn suddenly shifted their formation, creating a wedge that drove straight through the Council center. "They're separating the Council forces," Ben observed from tactical. Lisa saw immediately what was happening. The Voidborn have studied Council tactics too. They know exactly how they'll respond. She opened a channel to all Alliance ships. "Execute Contingency Plan Omega. Ignore the original battle plan. Move to support the Council center." The Alliance fleet broke from their positions and swarmed toward the breach in the Council lines. Their unorthodox movements confused the Voidborn, who had prepared to counter traditional Council responses. Alan's voice rose with excitement. "Admiral, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the Lid Voidborn ship. I think it's their command vessel." Lisa studied the data. This was their chance to strike at the heart of the Voidborn fleet. She opened a channel to Joe Campbell, who had joined the fleet aboard Earth's most advanced vessel. "Commander, we need to target that Lid ship. Can your new weapon penetrate their defenses?" Joe's voice came back steady. "We've only tested it in simulations, Admiral, but the Dovin calculations show it should work." "Shoot is all we have right now," Lisa replied. "Assemble a strike team. I'll create an opening." Lisa ordered 20 Alliance ships to create a diversion, drawing Voidborn fire while Joe's vessel and 5 escorts approached the command ship from another vector. The plan worked initially, but as they closed in, The Voidborn seemed to sense the threat and turned to intercept. "We're not going to make it," Joe reported as enemy fire intensified around his small group. Lisa made a quick decision. "All Alliance vessels, focus fire on these coordinates." She highlighted a section of space that would clear a path for Joe's team. The Council commander broke in on the channel. "You're breaking formation. Return to your assigned positions." Lisa ignored him. "Execute now." The Alliance ships fired simultaneously, creating a brief corridor through the Voidborn forces. Joe's team accelerated through it, taking damage but reaching firing position. "Weapon charge," Joe reported. "Firing now." The new weapon, designed by Kate Barnes using principles from 6 different species, fired a pulse that phased between dimensions. It bypassed the Voidborn shields completely and struck the command vessel's core systems. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the massive ship began to break apart. Energy cascaded through its structure, and it exploded in a blinding flash. The effect on the Voidborn fleet was immediate. Without central coordination, their formation fell apart. Some ships retreated while others fought on without strategy. The battle continued for hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. By the end, the Voidborn threat had been broken. Their remaining ships flowed into deep space, pursued by Council and Alliance vessels alike. In the aftermath, Lisa stood before the full Galactic Council. The chamber was packed with representatives from all species, Council and Alliance alike. The Council leader spoke formally. "In recognition of humanity's contribution to our victory, Earth is granted full Council membership, effective immediately." Lisa stepped forward. "With respect, that's not enough. The tier system that divides us must end. Every spacefaring species deserves equal representation." Murmurs filled the chamber, but they weren't hostile. Many of the younger Council members nodded in agreement. Perhaps, the Council leader said slowly, "It is time for change." 3 months later, the new Galactic Congress held its first session. Species once deemed primitive sat alongside those who had ruled for millennia. Lisa, now Earth's official representative, watched with satisfaction as new voices were heard. A young Volgar approached her after the session. "My teachers once told me humans were barely worth noticing," he said. "Now we study your methods and history." The Council laughed at humanity. "They aren't laughing anymore." Lisa smiled. "That's the thing about humans. We never stay where you put us."